Moving on is not the solution. So first marriages approximately fail at a 60% rate, about 62%. Second marriages fail at a 73% rate, and third marriages or long-term committed relationships fail, wait for it, at a 93% rate. Why? Because people aren't changing their behavior. They haven't mastered what it takes to have a long-term relationship. How would I know? Well, first of all, I'm a relationship coach and mentor. We run the Relationship Code, as you can see from TikTok, and we do it in Australia and the United States. And we have dealt with thousands and thousands of couples. So we know what is required to have a long-term relationship and what actually works. And in our culture now, we think the solution is when things aren't going well when it comes to an argument, let's leave. Let's go and find someone else. The problem is that what you don't understand is that we run our relationships through a code of relationships, a pattern of how you run that relationship. And when you leave, you take that pattern with you. You think it's them that's the problem. You think it's your partner. If only they would change. And I know you've tried, if you're a woman, many ways to influence them. And if you're a guy, you're just sick of being picked on about what you do or what you don't do. And that's not the truth, because what you need to be able to do is communicate in a different way. Change your code, change the way that you're communicating, because you will simply not only take that code to the next relationship, but subconsciously you have a model of what you're attracted to in terms of behavior. You learned that model from your own role models and events that happened to you growing up. And now you will pick that because it's familiar to you. It may not be good for you, but it's familiar to you. And human beings choose what is familiar to them, even if it's bad for them. That's why if you've been abused, you keep picking and choosing abusers. This is the same for everybody. So if you're attracted to a pattern that doesn't work in the relationship, like someone's dominating you, or you're an overgiver and they're a taker, or you're avoidant or anxious attachment, any of those things, if you don't change them in you, you will, in your next relationship, attract exactly the same thing. It won't be apparent to you. You think you won't. As an example, one couple, he was married to this woman who was very domineering, very loud, very abusive, and very aggressive towards him. When the relationship finished, he moved on and said, I'm never going to be attracted to someone like that again. So he picked someone who's very meek and mild and wasn't loud at all, but she controlled him manipulatively. So the issue was control, because he'd been raised by an over-controlling mother. So he's used to being controlled, and that was the pattern that he was used to. So yes, he didn't go for the aggressive, domineering woman, but he went for another woman who was still in her masculine state, but in a very quieter, manipulative way. And she still controlled him. So he's back in exactly the same situation again, because in him, he had not dealt with this underlying pattern. And this is critical. And this is what we do inside our live events. Help people deal with these underlying patterns that keep attracting the same exact problem into their lives. Now, if you're relating to this, the best way to find out what those patterns are in you is to book a discovery call. Because in that call, in that one-to-one, we're able to delve into it with you and show you exactly from the role models and events that have happened to you in your life, how that shows up for you and how it's going to keep showing up for you. And how, if you want to stay in your existing relationship, you can solve that now. Instead of trying to change them, you change you, and that has an impact on them because you're different. Now, surely that makes total logical sense to you. And if it does, book a discovery call.